Let me introduce our executive pastry chef, Leo.
Hi everybody, how you doing? Hey, thanks for visiting us tonight, this evening. Hopefully we can put on a great show for you today, or this evening actually I should say. So, anybody ever hear of a pate choux?
Bless you.
Not to be confused with pate or my assistant pastry chef. But the pate choux is a nice versatile dough that we're going to make, or paste, and I'm going to show you a couple of different applications to make with that. Our first one is going to be, we take the actual pate choux, we mix it with a little bit of a mashed potato, a dry mash, so you're going to cook your potato, pull it out of the water, you're going to strain it or rice it, break it up so it's nice and fine, fold it into the pate choux. At that point you can add any type of meat. For this evening we added some lobster to it, some corn, some herbs. We're going to serve that with a lemon pepper aioli sauce. And you guys will have a nice little treat out of that. So we're going to do 3 different varieties. A sweet, a savory, and a fried. Because we all know we love that fried food. I know I do. All right. So the first thing we're going to get going tonight is we're going to start making our pastry cream. Now with that pastry cream, we're going to make it. That's going to be our filling in our eclair, in our traditional cream puff. And also we're going to take that pastry cream and we're going to mix in some Nutella. And that's going to give us kind of like a hazelnut cream that's going to go into our Paris Brie, which is our French little donut. So hope everybody's hungry. All right. So let's get started here. So first thing I'm going to do is grab our next little pot here. You guys have to excuse me, I'm going to put my glasses on because I'm blind as a bat. All right. So, what we're going to do is I got my milk. Pour that into our pot here. So, can everybody see okay? All right. So, how about those specials that Chef Mike was talking about? Okay, we always got all kinds of stuff cooking here. Okay. A couple of cream. Now, this pastry cream that we're going to make is just like a vanilla custard. Okay, so many different applications you can make with it. So we got our milk in there, got our butter. Of course, there's lots of butter, there's lots of love. We got our vanilla bean. So our vanilla bean, we're going to use half a vanilla bean because we're making such a small batch. Now a lot of times you'll see a pastry chef scrape that bean out. Now when you do that, you get those nice little strands from that vanilla bean, which we don't really like to eat. It's almost like flossing your teeth while you're eating some cream. So what I like to do is just cut that in half, put it in there. As your liquid comes to a boil, that vanilla bean, just the seeds inside this pot are just going to come right out by themselves. Now you don't have those strands in there, but you still get that flavor. Okay? I'm going to let this come to a boil before I add that sugar, because once you add the sugar to it, you really got to stir it, otherwise it's going to start to burn. The milk by itself won't burn. We're going to thicken it up with some fresh egg yolks, powdered sugar, and some cornstarch. Now what I like to do is I like to mix that powdered sugar, or I'm sorry, that cornstarch with the granulated sugar. Okay, and that's going to help keep this from balling up or creating those little balls inside your liquid. So we want it to be nice and smooth and creamy. Now I'm going to take this dry mix, put it in here. All right, so I have my I have my cornstarch and my granulated sugar. I have my fresh oats here. I'm going to mix these in together. At the same time, I'm going to be looking at my liquid here and let that come to a boil. Once that comes to a boil, I'm going to stir in my sugar. And this is the part where you want to go kind of slow, otherwise you get all over the table just like I did. So I'm kind of smashing it around the sides. I want to see if there's any lumps in there of that cornstarch, and I don't quite see any, which means I did good. All right, as soon as that comes to a boil, I'm going to stir in my sugar. Now, that boiling liquid is going to dissolve this sugar really quick. And as this comes to a rolling boil, then I'm going to temper a portion of this hot liquid into the egg yolk, which is going to temper this. When I say temper, that means I'm going to bring this egg yolk to the same temperature as my liquid. Because at that point, it's not going to curdle like a scrambled egg. If I were just to throw this in there, I had run that possibility of cooking this just like a scrambled egg. And our cream will not be nice and smooth as we like it. So with this pastry cream, we can do so many different applications with this. We can fold in 50%, let's say if we have a pound of cream, We can throw in 50% of whipped cream, make a nice light vanilla custard, which we call it then Bavarian cream. Or we can keep it nice and thick, make it into a pudding. You can flavor it with anything, Nutella, peanut butter, jelly, anything you can think of. All right, so at this point, I'm going to add a little bit of liquid into my yolks. And what do we call that? Temper. Okay, so I'm going to just whisk this real slow because you don't want to spill this anywhere. You guys can see I got a rolling boiler right here. Now, watch as I pour this in. I'm going to pour it in and I'm going to stir. Okay, and this is just going to start to thicken up. And of course, we want to get every little bit in here. You know, for us at the bake shop, we have to get every little bit because we leave something out, it doesn't work. Leave a little yeast out, it doesn't work. A little baking powder, it doesn't work. Anything. You know, yeah, we all have our own little tricks and secrets. Okay, now can you see that? You see it thickening up? Now it's going to get thicker and thicker as they stir it. So at this point, I'm going to turn it down. Because now it will burn. Because this custard will stick to the bottom of this pot. So you know the great thing when I talked about different variations, we can take almost these same ingredients, make creme brulee. Instead of milk, we would add cream, yolks, sugar, leave out the cornstarch, and bake it in an oven in a water bath. Creme brulee. Then we could cook it without the cornstarch, add a little less egg yolk, turn it into a vanilla anglaise. Then the vanilla sauce we can also churn to make vanilla ice cream. So we have one item that we've made several variations of. All right, can you see that now? You see how smooth that looks? Now we're good. All right. Didn't burn it, you're right. Got lucky. It's my lucky night. No, the vanilla bean is still in here. Okay, I like to leave that in all the way till the end. In fact, I like to chill this down and let it cool in there. And I'll see if I can pick it out right now. So now with the recipe that you guys have, like I said, you can take that same dough, add your savory items to it, fry it up. Get your oil about 350 degrees, pipe it out of a pastry bag. Okay, see if you can see this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze this vanilla out of this bean. And like I said, I like to do it when this is cold because when it's hot, it's hot. Let's see if I can get this to come out in the center there. Well, you can see it on my fingers. So had this come to a boil, this would have been all over inside of our custard in little black specks. And you'll see when you eat our creme brulee here, we have a lot of black specks in our creme brulee, in our flan, because I love the vanilla bean. This one's done. This is finished. So, you have our fried food now, our fried pastry. We have our vanilla custard. I'm going to set this down here, let this cool. Now, normally with that, I would put it in a thin dish. I'd put a saran wrap directly on top. What that saran wrap does, it keeps that top from drying out a nice little skin on there. You ever put milk in a cup? Come back in a couple minutes, you got the little skin on there? By putting the saran wrap directly on top of that pastry cream, it'll keep that nice and creamy with no dry skin. That's how we store it in there. So everybody's happy with their little snack, the little fritter? All right, thank you very much. All right, so now,
hey Leo,
yeah.
a little bird told me today that today's a special day.
You know what? It is. I want to give a shout out to my kids in Phoenix. I got 3 sons out there, Nick, Leo, and Jose, and my daughter, who's just turned 18 today. And I'd like to say happy birthday to her, and I miss all you guys. But yeah, that's great. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, it's her birthday today. She's 18. She's a young lady. But very proud of her. She's doing really well in school. Actually, all my kids are doing really well. Proud of them all. So now we're going to make the pate choux. Now, 2 types of liquid we could use in this liquid. We could use half milk, half water, and that's what I like to use. And you'll see that when you get the pastry, it's going to be a little bit soft. So if we were to leave that milk out and go straight water, it's going to make that pastry a little bit hard and crisp. So we like to use a little bit of the milk, keep it nice and soft. There we go, now we're hot. So that's our water. We got our milk. Of course, we got our favorite ingredient, butter. Get that all in there. And we use a lot of butter. Okay, so the last two ingredients. We have flour and we have our whole eggs. Our method is we're going to bring our liquid to a boil. Then I'm going to add the flour to it and we're going to make a roux. So I'm going to let this come to a boil. Now to make the pate choux, we're going to use our pot, bring it to a boil, we're going to use our flour, make a roux, then we're going to put it in our old faithful mixing machine. Okay, so here we go. See, our liquid's boiling now. Everybody see that? That's a rolling boil. Okay, so now I'm going to slowly add our flour. I'm going to stir that in. But you know, some people use a whisk, some people use a metal spoon. I just prefer my wood spoon. This is something I've had for years. Okay, so now everybody see this dough? It's really thick. So this is part of our roux. This is what we want to do. So this is ready. Now, and I just discovered an error, a mathematical error. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have one of my assistants here, Elsa. Elsa is going to remeasure this flour because the flour was a little bit too much. So, okay, I'll show it to you. So you saw that lump form, that dough mass that we put in. Okay, I'm going to slowly add my eggs in here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to create a paste.
So are you looking just to add one egg at a time?
Yeah, now, the method that we're going to do is we're going to add that egg one method at a time, or one egg at a time, because I want that egg to dissipate inside that dough, meaning it's going to dissolve in there to create a paste. And then we're just going to let it mix on slow speed. The type of flour we're using is bread flour. You can use all-purpose flour. Okay, so now this is our dough, our paste. Okay, so our dough, our pate choux is pretty thick. It's a little bit too thick because I got the measurement wrong on the flour, but we're going to fix it up and I'll give you the right amount on that. Now, if you were to use this at this point here, we can still add our stuff to fry to it. If we wanted to add our chicken, our lobster, or anything like that, we could do it. It'd be perfect for that. Okay, so that's our pate choux. We're going to make our classical swan. We're going to make an eclair. And we're going to make the Paris brie, which is a nice little French donut. So that little French donut, we're going to pipe brown. We're going to fill it with the hazelnut cream, some whipped cream, and then we're going to drizzle with chocolate, powdered sugar. The swan, which will be the classical cream puff, is going to have a nice pastry cream, which we made. And let me back up. Our Nutella filling is going to be made from the pastry cream with Nutella cream. Now that's going to be to taste. So if you want it super rich, add more Nutella. Nutella is really good. So I like it kind of rich like that. The second one we're going to do is the swan. So like I said, the classical swan. And I'm going to show you how to make that little neck. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put our pate choux in the bag. I've cut this tip off. Where can you see that? Just a little bit. You see how big it is? That's roughly the size of just a tad smaller than a pencil eraser on a number 2 pencil. Let's see if we can make these even bigger. All right, how about that? Okay. Yes, yeah, just like a question mark, exactly. But you always want to create that little point, just so that resembles a little beat. And you'll see why. Okay, so now, I'm going to take this off, put this back in here. So I would fill up my whole pan with those, throw them in the oven. This is probably going to bake maybe 5 or 6 minutes on one side. I'm going to rotate it so it bakes nice and evenly golden. So maybe total time 8 to 12 minutes. And it's all going to be based on your oven as well. I mean, if you have propane, electric, or gas, everything's going to be different. The key in baking is you bake it till it's golden, okay? About 350, 360. Now, when you do a cream puff and eclair, you're going to bake that at a higher temperature because you want that to really gain some air on the inside and to bake off nice and hollow. All right, so now, what I'm going to do with this is we're going to adjust our tip. So I want to do our eclair. So maybe I'm going to do this about, maybe a little bit bigger than that. No, I think that's all right. So this will probably be about maybe about as big as your pinky. You know, the tip of that hole there. So, can you guys see that? Yeah? Okay. So now what I'm going to do, I have a pastry bag, and I like to squeeze it and twist it right here at the base. Now I have it in my palm. This gives me more control over this when I'm squeezing it. So now for the eclair, we're just going to keep it the same length, the same width. I want to push just enough pressure that's as big as the tip of my bag. Okay? Get a little bit more in there. I forgot to pipe the Paris breast. The Paris breast, the French donut. So that's what this is going to come out right here. Okay? So let me get some of this out of the way here. So with this, all I'm going to do is I'm going to do a nice little circle around. Okay, so there's going to be just like that. Okay, now at this point I can sprinkle some candied sugar on there. I can sprinkle some almonds on there. So this is what it looks like with the almonds on it. Okay, so and you can see our little eclairs, how they bake up. Little mini ones. Okay, now my little swan eye is done. Okay, so I have the little swan eye. Now, this is the hard part. You want to really look at it because you want to try and match it up. Otherwise, you don't want one side to look like a cyclops and the other side to be mismatched. So now you got two eyes on it. Can you see that? Okay. Okay, now, the other shape that we have here, this is actually the swan body. Now I put a star tip in it, but we can make it without the star tip. And I'll show you how we're going to do that. So see if we were to just come like this and drag it back. Okay, see that? So that's going to bake off just like this right here. First thing what we're going to do is take our cream puff, our swan, and we're just going to cut that. Okay, and you see this has a little bit of pastry inside of it. We're just going to hollow that out. Okay? And we're going to take this part, which would be the top of the cream puff, and we're going to cut that in half, and that's going to be his wings. Okay? So we'll take this. We're going to cut it. Now, we don't want to cut it in half. I want to do like maybe 2/3 on the bottom, just 1/3 of the top. Because remember, we want our pastry cream to sit nice inside there. You see that deep pocket in there? So now we can load that up with a lot of good stuff. Take this one. Cut this in half. Okay, now, we made our pastry cream earlier. Now we're going to take this. Let's see, tell me where you can see this. Can you see the little pastry cups right there? Okay, so we're going to take this, and I want to put a nice portion there, but I don't want to do too much because I don't want to spill it on my shirt. And if you overload it, that's what happens. Trust me, we got new jackets yesterday, and I was the first one to get drips all over my tummy. So now, we're going to take this whipped cream and we're just going to come back. Can you guys see that? One big one in the front. Okay. Now we're going to take these wings, put them in. All right, here's a little swan head. So what do you think? Do you like the swan? Was it nice and sweet? All right. Wow. So then we're going to put a little more love on this. Okay. So I just want to take this. I just have a little chocolate sauce here. You know, for any sauce you guys want to do, you can always go down and you can get some sauce from the store. Hershey's got a great sauce you can use. Now, the reason why we just put this down is just so we can stick that dessert on to our plate. All right. There's one. Okay. Now, I have my Nutella and pastry cream in my bag already. I'm going to put a nice little portion down here. So how's that Paris Brie, the French donut? Like that one too? All right. Oops, I should have showed you a picture of that. So this is what this is going to look like now. I should have showed you what the Nutella on the bottom, but I went ahead of myself and did the whipped cream on top. Get too excited doing this. So we got these nice little candied hazelnuts. What I like to do is put a little bit of this on here. And I like the toppings, a little crunchies. So you could use chopped up Butterfingers, you can get some candy bars, chop them up, sprinkle them on here. I mean, just be creative. Sky's the limit. Okay, so there's our Paris breast. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish that off. So all I'm going to do with this is I'm going to come back across with my pastry bag. Yeah, to get the fine line, you just go, relatively quick, back and forth, and go past your pastry. Now, I'm going to put the little love there. All right, so now you see how that looks? So right now we have 2 of our desserts, 2 out of 3. How'd you guys like the eclair? All right. So you see, the key to the pastry cream is also using fresh vanilla bean. I know it's expensive, but it makes a big difference in your dessert. Huge difference. All right, so now, the next one's going to be our eclair. Okay, so this is nice and hollow. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one of these in half, so I can show you the inside of it. All right, so again, we can just move that back with our finger, and that will fill up, okay? So that's what it's going to look like on the inside. So with this one, you can just take your paring knife, and you're going to put a hole in each side, each end. Okay, my pastry bag, you still have a small little tip in here, or, it's still kind of really thin. So with this, let me see if I can put it here. This has a little bit too much in it. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take half this out. Because again, when you have a lot of stuff in your pastry bag, it's really hard to control. So I like to just put just a little bit of amount. And again, like I said, you can buy the tips. The tips are easier to use. But if you don't have them, you can always just get the little pastry bag, which Michael's has these bags. Okay, so can you see that? See how small that is? Just enough to come out. Now that's going to allow me to just put this in and squeeze. Okay, and you can see it coming out the side there, and you can feel this get heavy. Okay, so it probably weighs a couple ounces right now. And again, with this eclair, like I said, if you go into sweets, you can see our large one in there. So you can make this any size. And like I said, we make it 6 inches by 1.5. So it's pretty big. But that's what we do here at Valley View. Go big or go home. Okay, so now I'm going to take my eclair. And I'm just going to dip it in. Can you guys see this? And what I want to do is I'm just going to drip that chocolate off. Now, I'm going to fold it back. So now I want to try and keep that nice straight line on there. Okay. Dip it down. And if your chocolate's too hot meaning if it's more than 95 degrees, it's going to be really runny. This, see how it's like that strand? That's about 90 degrees. And the way you can tell is your body temperature is 97. So it's going to be just a little bit cooler than your touch. If it's hotter, you know it's more than 97. Okay? All right, now any questions? No questions? Yes. So temperature is you're going to start off at 400 degrees. You want that high heat to make that thing really steam on the inside. Then you're going to drop it down to about 350, 360. And again, you'll make it a couple times in your oven because it's going to be based on whether you have an electric oven or gas oven. The variable is going to be on temperature and baking time. Okay? And then also in your oven too is you're going to have one side of your oven is going to have a hot spot. One side will bake hotter than the other. The bottom may be colder. So you always want to try and bake in the center of the oven. Okay, so now I'm going to take my white chocolate. This is almost set up. So again, in this white chocolate, this is the candy melts that you can buy over at Michael's. So it's just vanilla flavoring. It's going to have some cocoa butter in it, some milk fats. There is no such thing as white chocolate. It's just something sweet and good that they sell on the market and we buy it. You know, we make white chocolate mousse. We make it as the base, and we can make our fruit flavored mousses out of it, praline mousses out of it, mocha mousse. Okay, now with this, I'm just going to come across too. Can you guys see that? And then come back again. Okay. See, the chocolates you got to work fast with because they solidify. I didn't keep them warm, so my white chocolate, dark chocolate almost solidified there. Okay, so now we're going to take our whipped cream and I'm just going to come back across the top. Oops, my chocolate stew's wet. It did solidify up, so I'm going to lean that up there. This hasn't dried yet. Okay, take my little hazelnuts. All right, so there's our dessert presentation. All right. So how was it all? Worth the wait? All right. Great. Well, at least I didn't put anybody to sleep tonight. That's a good thing. Oh, the flour making it. What was? I didn't quite understand that. The remeasure. Oh, let me remeasure that. Give me 1 second. Where is Elsa? Pull this off here. When we got our paste.
4 cups.
Okay, so that was. Let's do. 4 cups in here with 5 cup measurement. So I would say you're going to do just a heavy 3/4 cup. So not level, but just maybe like a heaping 3/4 cup. Okay, so good question about the dough and adding your lobster. So when it's into a paste like this form here, your eggs mixed and everything, you're going to add your meats to it. Mix it on slow speed. Just enough to mix everything in, get it incorporated, ready to go. Okay? Correct. Yeah, so you deep fry the whole thing. So remember, we took that dough. Let me see if I can show you again. We took that dough and we're going to squeeze the bag and cut it into the oil. Okay? And you'll want to do this maybe about 1 inch or 2 above the oil if you don't want it to splash. And again, no, because this is actually pretty thick and pretty, it's not quite sticky, but it's thick, it's gooey. Okay, so it holds everything in there really good. And I believe there's cheese in there too. Hopefully there's some left when I'm finished here. But yeah, but that's it, it's pretty simple. Is it good? Well, great. Excellent. Well, we're glad everybody enjoyed it. We thank you for coming in. And thanks for seeing us. We'll hope to see you next month again for Kitchen Ace. All right, thank you, and have a great night, folks. Thank you.